You ever sit across from someone you've loved for over a decade and suddenly realize they're a stranger? That was me, Thursday night, 7:14 p.m., watching my wife push peas around her plate like a kid faking appetite. The meatloaf was cold, but the silence was colder. So, work good. I ventured, because sometimes cliches are the only thing standing between you and screaming. She nodded without looking up. Fine. Fine. That word should come with a warning label. Fine in marriage usually means the exact opposite of what you hope. Like, fine means the house is burning, but let's talk about it never. I cleared my throat. I saw a message on your phone this morning. From someone named Marcus. She blinked. Froze. Then smiled, small, polite, like a waitress pretending the customer didn't just ask for ketchup on creme brulee. He's from the office. Right, I said, like that explained the can't stop thinking about last night that lit up her lock screen at 6:17 a.m. Here's the thing. I'm not stupid. I'm an engineer. I solve problems for a living. I can tell you the stress load of a suspension bridge, and I can tell when the person across the table is lying through her teeth. She picked up her fork like it weighed 100 pounds. Can we not do this right now? Right now? When exactly was the correct time to schedule a betrayal breakdown? After dessert? During the credits? I pushed my plate away. Appetite, gone. Marriage, hanging by a thread. Dignity? Still intact? For now. But that night, I didn't sleep. I lay in bed while she texted someone in the bathroom with the fan on, pretending I couldn't hear the taps. I stared at the ceiling and made a promise. If the truth didn't walk through that door soon, I was going to kick it open myself. Because when someone sets fire to your life, you don't just stop, drop, and roll. You get up. You grab the hose. And eventually, you burn something back. The next morning, I made spaghetti. Not because I was hungry. Not because she liked it. But because there's something therapeutic about watching something boil, makes you feel like you're not the only one simmering under the surface. She walked into the kitchen wearing one of my college hoodies, acting like everything was normal. The audacity was almost impressive. You made pasta? She asked, her voice chipper, like the last 24 hours hadn't been a slow-motion implosion. Yep, I said. Felt like boiling something alive. She raised an eyebrow. Okay. And then she kissed my cheek. Like it was just another Wednesday. Like my brain hadn't already reverse-engineered the timestamps of every suspicious text on her phone. I needed proof. Not to convince myself. No, I already knew. I needed it for the aftermath. The receipts. The exhibit A's of betrayal. So I reached out to someone who owed me a favor, Mick, an old buddy from college who'd done a tour in cybersecurity before deciding the private sector paid better and asked fewer questions. What's the job? He asked over the phone. My wife's lying to me. There was a pause, then a low whistle. Want me to dig? I said yes. And that yes tasted like gravel in my mouth. He promised me something in 48 hours. In the meantime, I played house. We ate dinner. We watched reruns. She scrolled her phone under the blanket like I was too dumb to notice. But I did notice. I noticed everything, including the fact that Thursday night, for the 13th time in 3 months, she stayed late at the office. Allegedly. Saturday morning hit different. I was sipping coffee, watching steam curl from the mug like a nervous twitch, when Mick called. No pleasantries. Just raw data. She's been texting Marcus. A lot. How much is a lot? He didn't hesitate. 347 messages in the last 19 days. Mostly after 10 p.m. Want the transcripts? I paused. No, not yet. Truth is, I didn't need to read them. I already had a highlight reel in my head, complete with all the worst-case captions. She was giving someone else her late-night thoughts. The ones I used to get before we became polite strangers. Where does he live? I asked. Mick gave me an address. Midtown Loft. Of course it was. As I hung up, she walked into the room in yoga pants and a top that didn't belong to her weekend routine. Fresh hair. Light makeup. Too much effort for a Target run. Going out? I asked, keeping it casual. She nodded, grabbing her keys. Brunch with Ellie. Ellie, her best friend, had moved to Denver 6 months ago. Funny how that slipped her mind. Tell Ellie I said hi, I said. She didn't even blink. Will do. I watched her leave, every step a confirmation, every second a countdown. And then, I followed her. From 2 cars back, I tailed her through half the city. She didn't even check her rearview mirror. Guilt makes people sloppy. She didn't go to a brunch spot. She didn't go anywhere public. She went to Marcus' place. And stayed. long enough for the sun to move across the sky like it was tired of watching people lie to each other. I didn't storm in, didn't cause a scene. I just sat there, parked in my car, gripping the steering wheel like it owed me an explanation. By the time she finally came out, hair tousled, makeup faded, smile wide, I had all the confirmation I needed. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This was war. Sunday morning, I didn't say a word. I made eggs like I always do. Over easy for her, scrambled for me. I even cut up some strawberries and put them on a little plate like this was still some suburban love story and not a crime scene without the yellow tape. She walked in, fake yawning, stretching like a cat who hadn't spent Saturday in someone else's bed. Smells good, she said, rubbing her eyes like the betrayal hadn't happened in full daylight. Thought I'd cook, I replied, handing her a mug of coffee. We haven't sat down in a while. She smiled, took the cup. Saturday, that's sweet. Yeah, I'm sweet. Like antifreeze. We ate in silence. The kind of silence you usually reserve for funerals or awkward elevator rides. She glanced at me a few times like she was trying to read something behind my eyes, but I gave her nothing. Hey, she finally said, voice soft. I've been thinking, maybe we should take a trip. Get away for a few days. A trip. That almost made me laugh. The kind of laugh that sticks in your throat like a dry pill. Sure, I said. Any ideas? Somewhere quiet. No phones. Just us. I think we need to reconnect. Reconnect? Like I'm a Wi-Fi signal she forgot how to log into. She reached across the table and touched my hand, and for a second, I wondered how many times she had done this exact gesture with Marcus. How many eggs he'd cooked her. How many lies they shared over breakfast. My phone buzzed. A message from Mick. Package delivered. See front porch. Be right back, I said, standing up. There was a plain white envelope sitting under the welcome mat. Classic Mick. Subtle as a ghost. Inside were photos. Time-stamped. Clear. Her entering Marcus' place. Her leaving. Her hand in his back pocket like a trophy she just won. I slid them into the inside pocket of my jacket and walked back inside like I hadn't just seen the end credits of our marriage. She was cleaning the plates. Like a good wife. Like a woman who hadn't detonated our life with the same fingers that now held a sponge. You ever think about who you used to be? I asked, leaning in the doorway. She turned, puzzled. What do you mean? I mean, before the careers and the mortgages and the 401(k)s. Who were you before all this? She smiled, nostalgic. I was happier. Wild. A little reckless. You miss it. She shrugged. Sometimes. But life isn't a movie, right? Right. No movie. Just a slow, silent thriller where the killer lives in your house. That night, I sat in my office, staring at the photos. And then I did something reckless. I printed one. Just one. The clearest shot. Her in Marcus' doorway, laughing, holding a cup of coffee, barefoot. I slipped it into a card and wrote 6 words. Brunch with Ellie looked different. I left it on her pillow. Monday morning, she found it. I was brushing my teeth when I heard the gasp. Then the shuffle. Then silence. A silence thicker than any we'd had before. She walked into the bathroom holding the card like it was radioactive. Her face pale, mouth slightly open. Where did you get this? I spat into the sink. Does it matter? She didn't answer. Just stood there, trembling. You want to talk? I asked, drying my hands. Now's the time. She started, but stopped. She swallowed. It wasn't supposed to go this far. That line. That's always the one. Like betrayal has a limit, a boundary, a fence you accidentally hop over. Do you love him? I asked. Her eyes filled with tears. I don't know. Wrong answer. Not yes. Not no. Just that limbo of guilt and lust where cowards camp out when they don't want to admit they've burned the house down. I see, I said. Please don't leave, she whispered. We can fix this. I was lost. Funny, I said, walking past her. You looked pretty found in that photo. She didn't follow me. That was the first smart move she made all weekend. That evening, I packed a small bag and left. No shouting. No tears. Just one last look at the life I thought I was building and the woman who bulldozed it. But this story doesn't end with me leaving. Oh no. That would be too simple. Sometimes, when something inside you dies, something else wakes up. Something quieter. Darker. Something that waits. I spent that first night at a motel just off Route 7. One of those places where the ice machine wheezes like a dying animal and the curtains never quite shut all the way. The sign outside flickered between vacancy and just ANSY, which felt poetic. I didn't sleep. I watched cable reruns of courtroom dramas and ate pretzels from a vending machine that looked like it hadn't been refilled since the Clinton administration. At 3:13 a.m., I pulled out the envelope again. Her face smiled up at me from the glossy photo like she hadn't just detonated our life with a flip of her hair and a fresh cup of coffee. The timestamp glared from the bottom corner like a final grade I didn't want to read. Marcus, 36, junior VP, bachelor, plays guitar like he thinks he's the next John Mayer. The guy wears loafers without socks and says things like vibe check, unironically. I'd met him once at a company barbecue. He shook my hand like it was a wet napkin and told me my coleslaw was fire. Now he was sleeping with my wife. No, not sleeping. Sleeping is innocent, dreamy, temporary. He was staking a claim. The next morning, I did what every scorned man with a coffee addiction and a wounded pride does. I made a list. Step 1, watch. Step 2, wait. Step 3, decide. I rented a storage unit that same day. Quiet place on the east side of town, nothing fancy, but climate-controlled and, more importantly, untraceable. I started moving some essentials in: records, notebooks, my dad's old hunting knife, a duffel bag with enough clothes to last a week. I wasn't running. I was staging. Mick called later that afternoon. So, what's next? Nothing, I said. For now. Okay, he said slowly. But, you might want to see something. He sent me a video clip. I didn't want to watch it. I really didn't. But I did. It was them. My wife and Marcus. In public. Same bar we used to go to on date nights when we were still pretending. She had her hand on his thigh, laughing in that way she used to reserve for me. Then she leaned in and kissed him. Not a shy kiss. Not a we should stop kiss. A full, open declaration. I almost dropped my phone. Mick messaged again. That was last night. She didn't go home after you left. Of course she didn't. Why would she? I was old news. A utility. A phase she outgrew like vintage denim. She wasn't heartbroken. She was free. So, I decided to take a page from her book, be someone else. I went dark for a week. No calls. No texts. No emails. Just me, the storage unit, and time. Time is a funny thing. It stretches, warps, gives you space to stare at yourself without blinking. I watched people. Learned Marcus patterns. 7:45 a.m. gym. 9:15 a.m. office. Lunch at noon. Always outside. Always Instagrammed. 6:30 p.m. He either went home or she met him. She wasn't subtle. I'll give her that. She acted like she wanted to be caught. Like this whole thing wasn't a secret anymore. It was a soft launch. Meanwhile, our house sat there like a monument to a dead empire. I drove by once. Her car in the driveway. Porch lights still flickered when you walked by, something I always meant to fix. I thought about burning it down. Not literally. Just the idea of it. The permanence. The memories. Like maybe if it all turned to ash, it wouldn't haunt me. Instead, I went to the attic. Old keys. Old photos. Old me. I pulled out the shoebox she gave me our first anniversary. Inside was a cheap watch, a handwritten note, and a photo booth strip of us from a county fair. I used to think she was the best part of me. Now I know better. By Friday, I had a plan. Revenge? Maybe. Justice? Debatable. Clarity? Absolutely. I waited outside Marcus' gym. Hoodie up, sunglasses on. Watched him strut out like he just bench pressed the weight of all my patience. I followed him 2 blocks down, into a juice bar. He got his usual, green something. Probably tasted like pond water and self-righteousness. When he came back out, he walked past me without a second glance. Good. I stepped into the alley behind his loft. Found the side window I'd noticed the week before. Easy latch. No alarm. Not that I went in. I just loosened a few screws. Enough to make it rattle. Just enough to make someone feel watched. Because here's the thing about people who steal. They're always looking over their shoulder. By the time Marcus got home, I was gone. But the game? That had just started. I didn't need to break windows. I just needed to break rhythm. By Saturday, Marcus had developed a twitch. Barely noticeable. Left shoulder. Subtle shrug like he was brushing off an imaginary bug. Probably thought it was stress. Probably thought the shadows looked a little longer than usual. He'd be right. People don't realize how easy it is to unravel someone's sense of safety. You don't have to threaten them. You just rearrange something small. Monday morning, I let myself into his building. He left the front door ajar careless. I left nothing behind but fingerprints on the outside of his coffee mug and turned his toothbrush bristles the wrong direction. Childish? Maybe. But it made a point. You're not alone anymore. Later that day, she called. First time in a week. Where are you? I didn't answer. Just let the silence drag out like a long exhale. Please. I need to talk to you. That's what people say when their safety net disappears. When the person they replace doesn't sit quietly in the corner like an obedient ghost. I hung up. 20 minutes later, she texted, Marcus thinks someone's been in his place. Has anything happened to you? That's rich. Now I'm the person she's worried about? After weeks of secrecy and giggles and her hands in someone else's pockets, I'm suddenly the security blanket she wants to check in on? I replied with 2 words, no brunch. The silence that followed felt almost warm. By Tuesday, I knew Marcus' password. It wasn't even hard. His dog's name, followed by his birth year. Classic narcissist move, secure the digital life with something cute and sentimental. I scrolled his inbox. That's when I saw it. Plane tickets. 2. Cancun. Departure. Friday. Return. Sunday. Just a quick getaway. Probably told her it was stress relief. Probably convinced her they needed closure or some romantic rebirth over mojitos and towel swans. So that's how it was going to be. I didn't feel anger, exactly. It was more like watching someone push a piano toward the edge of a cliff and wondering when gravity would do the rest. I printed the itinerary and slid it under her windshield wiper at work. No note. She'd know. I didn't follow them to the airport. Didn't need to. Instead, I paid a visit to my lawyer, Amy Kensington. 5'3" and sharp enough to cut glass with her closing statements. You look like hell, she said as I sat down. Been on vacation, I replied. She raised an eyebrow. How can I help you, Logan? I want to prepare the papers. Divorce. Full audit of assets. And I want the house. She clicked her pen. Why now? I set a photo on her desk. Marcus and my wife, walking through a hotel lobby, hand in hand. Because they think they've won, I said. And because I'm done playing husband to a woman who thinks forever comes with a footnote. Amy didn't smile. She nodded and started writing. Cancun was a dream. For them. I saw the photos. Not ones they posted. No, those were private. Smug smiles. A balcony. A kiss on the forehead that made my stomach turn. Marcus, shirtless, holding a margarita. She wore the sundress I bought her 3 birthdays ago, the one she said made her feel beautiful. And now? Now she wore it for him. But Friday wasn't about them anymore. Friday was for precision. I met Mick at the storage unit. You sure? He asked. I've never been more sure. We loaded 2 boxes into my car. Inside, the full file. Every message. Every image. Bank transfers. Hotel receipts. Even the gym security cam footage from their first rendezvous. All wrapped in a bow and addressed to 3 people. Her boss, Marcus CEO, and her mother. Call it petty. Call it calculated. Call it chess. But I was tired of playing checkers in a rigged game. Sunday night, they landed. I was already home. She walked through the front door like nothing had happened. I was on the couch. She froze. Logan. I didn't move. Why are you here? I looked up. House is still in my name. Didn't think I needed a hall pass. Her smile wavered. I thought we were, taking space. We were. And now? I stood up. Walked over. Handed her a manila envelope. She hesitated, then opened it. Inside, a single piece of paper, printed in bold. You'll receive the rest from my attorney. She stared at it like it was written in another language. Wait, Logan, are you really doing this? Too late to ask that, I said, walking toward the door. Where are you going? To live a life that doesn't make me hate myself. I left her there, still in the sundress, still pretending she didn't burn the bridge until it collapsed. But here's the thing. You can't destroy a man who's already walked through fire. You just free him to light his own match. The first night in the new apartment, I slept on the floor. Not because there wasn't a bed. I had a mattress, still wrapped in plastic, leaned against the wall. I just couldn't bring myself to open it yet. Something about sleeping on hard ground felt fitting. Honest. The place smelled like fresh paint and plywood. The fridge hummed like it was whispering secrets I wasn't ready to hear. Outside, cars passed on the main road like nothing in the world had fallen apart. But mine had. And weirdly enough, it didn't feel like the end anymore. It felt like the beginning. I sat up around 2 a.m., stared at the ceiling, and asked myself out loud, what now? The silence replied, anything. The fallout didn't take long. Tuesday morning, her lawyer called mine. Full panic mode. How much do you know? He asked. Amy, cool as ever, just said, enough to make a judge blush and an HR department cry. She tried texting me, my ex, that is. Can we talk? We can still fix this. Please, don't do this to us. Us. That word hit different. It used to mean two people rowing the same boat. Now, it was like she threw a hole in the bottom and handed me a bucket. I didn't respond. Some silences are answers in themselves. Marcus, bless his overconfident heart, tried to play defense. Corporate damage control, denial, backpedaling. But once his CEO got that package with the photos, the messages, and a neatly typed summary of his relationship with a married woman on company time, well, let's just say the man's calendar cleared up real quick. He called me. Didn't recognize the number, but I answered out of curiosity. Logan, listen, man to man, this is getting blown way out of proportion. Is it? I asked. Because I think you two lit the match, and now you're upset there's a fire. You don't have to go nuclear. We can be adults. You had your chance to be an adult, Marcus. Right around the time you decided your gym schedule was more important than someone else's marriage. He started to say something else. I hung up. Never spoke to him again. Some people don't deserve a final word. By Thursday, the divorce was public. I didn't post anything, didn't write a tell-all. But when someone leaks that many emails to the right inboxes, things have a way of surfacing. She lost her job. Not because she cheated, that's not illegal, but because she used company resources to do it. Tracked emails. Hotel charges flagged as conference reimbursements. You can't bill betrayal to the company card. Her mother called me. No greeting. Just, why didn't you tell me? I figured she would. She said it was a mistake. She said a lot of things. Most of them weren't true. She sighed. I raised her better than this. I didn't argue. Didn't agree either. Just let the silence stretch. I'm sorry, Logan, she whispered. Funny how the apology came from the wrong person. I started going to the gym again. The first few times felt pointless. I wasn't trying to get revenge abs or prove anything to anyone. I just needed to feel like my body belonged to me again. There's a weird fog that settles over you after betrayal. You stop trusting your own judgment, your own senses. The gym, sweat, breath, repetition, it cleared that fog. I started sleeping better, eating better, not obsessing over every ping from my phone like it was a grenade. I started laughing again. Real laughter. Like when my neighbor's cat fell off the fence mid-pounce. Or when the barista gave me an extra espresso shot by accident and tried to charge me in compliments instead. You look like someone who deserves good things, she said. I smiled. Let's hope so. One night, I saw her again. I was walking back from the store, paper bag full of groceries, and there she was, standing outside the old house. Our house. Except it wasn't ours anymore. She was wearing a coat too thin for the weather, arms crossed like she was trying to hold herself together. Logan, she said. I didn't stop walking, just adjusted the bag in my arms. Please, she said. Just 5 minutes. I stopped. She looked like a faded photograph. Familiar, but no longer sharp. You were my best friend, she said. You were mine too, I replied. And I ruined it. Yes. She swallowed. Do you hate me? No, I said. I don't hate you. A flicker of hope crossed her face. I just don't see you the same anymore. And I think that's worse. I kept walking. Didn't look back. You don't revisit graves when you've already buried what's inside. That night, I slept on the mattress. Unwrapped it. Laid down. Closed my eyes. And dreamed of quiet oceans, clean slates, and the strange peace that comes when you finally realize the worst already happened, and you survived. Weeks passed. The apartment grew warmer. Less temporary. I found routines again, morning jogs, Friday night Thai takeout, reading old detective novels with a cup of tea like a man who was 85 at heart. But something still ticked inside me. Not rage. Not grief. A clock. Counting down to something I didn't yet have a name for. Then Mick called. You sitting down? Do I need to be? She's seeing him again. Quietly. Different car, different places, but same dance. I didn't feel a punch to the gut. Didn't feel fire in my throat. Just cold, quiet clarity. She had nothing left to lose now. So why stop? Why pretend? They were getting sloppy again. And that was the last mistake they'd ever make. They didn't know I'd been tracking them. Not with bugs or cameras. Just good, old-fashioned patience and pattern recognition. That's the funny thing about cheaters. They never really plan the ending. They think once the secret is out, they're free. But they forget some of us were listening long before they said the quiet part out loud. It was the 13th night since their Cancun trip, The same number of missed calls I got before I blocked her number for good. I watched them enter his building. Same time. Same door. She carried a small bag. A toothbrush. Maybe a change of clothes. Cute. I waited. 10 minutes later, I walked up, calm as a monk. Window latch? Still loose. Same one I loosened weeks ago. They were upstairs. I knew the layout. Mick had sent it months ago. Small loft. Bedroom in the corner. Only one way in. I didn't knock. Didn't scream. Didn't make a scene. Just left a package on the kitchen counter, a printed photo of them, time-stamped, from that first night outside the bar, and a single sentence written in black ink. You had every chance to stop. Now you've got none. And one more thing, a flash drive. Inside? A full compilation of everything. Photos, audio, messages, bank statements. A letter from HR terminating Marcus for breach of ethics. A screenshot of the judge's order granting me the house. I didn't need them to see it right away. I just needed them to know I'd been there. I walked out before they came down the stairs. Left the door ajar. Let the silence do the talking. Some men snap. Some break glass. Some break bones. But me? I broke the narrative. I didn't burn the house down. I took the deed and renovated it. Painted the walls. Removed every last photo of us. Even the wedding ones. Especially the wedding ones. She tried reaching out again after the package. Of course she did. 3 voicemails. All regret. None remorse. There's a difference. Marcus? He disappeared from my radar. Fired. Blacklisted. Word gets around. The last update I heard came from a friend of a friend. He's working freelance now. Something small. No big title. No one calls him VP anymore. As for me, I rebuilt. I planted new things. Joined a local charity. Started mentoring kids in engineering, the way someone once did for me. I started becoming the man I forgot I was before love became a leash. And one day, I looked in the mirror and didn't see a husband, or a victim, or a man halfway through his own story. I saw someone whole. That's the thing about heartbreak. It hurts like hell, but if you let it, it hammers you into something unbreakable. And me? I'm still standing. Still breathing. Still here. And I've never been more dangerous.